Member of Parliament for Parry Sound Muskoka on Facebook Live, talking about the Canadian Summer Jobs Program with John Friesen, who is Chief Executive Officer, President of Muskoka Bible Center. John, thanks for being on Facebook Live with me as we go through a little bit about the controversy, the ongoing controversy with the Canadian government's Summer Jobs Program. That's a program that's been around for many years. Everybody around Canada has been entitled to the program. It's a way to get summer students summer jobs, and of course in Parry Sound Muskoka, a lot of those summer jobs are attached to summer camps, these camps that spring up when the summer months are with us and provide opportunities for young people to come to Muskoka, to breathe the fresh air, to learn canoeing skills or other skills, to get the companionship that is all about summer camp, and with faith-based camps, obviously to learn more about their faith. John, tell us a little bit about MBC and what happens here.
Yeah, MBC, we operate year-round, but our priority season really is the summer, and we operate opportunities or give opportunities for families to come up and enjoy Muskoka, but also inform their faith more through different programs that we operate here. We also operate Camp Ojibwe, which has a real priority for reaching into the marginalized communities of some of the inner city regions of Toronto, Hamilton, and Guelph. And so we actually fully sponsor about 320 young people and children that come from those communities who couldn't otherwise come to camp. And so that's a real priority for us. We do recruit, and we need the support of about 160 students to fulfill our mandate in the summer. And so we really do rely on student support and offer a lot of opportunities for jobs for summer students.
Now, year in, year out, you've applied to the Summer Jobs Program, is that correct?
We have, yeah. We've historically received that funding, and we budget for it and count on it.
And what happened this year, maybe just to back up a little bit, this year the Liberal government under Justin Trudeau changed the Summer Jobs Program to require that every employer attest that they would be following not only the Charter of Rights and Freedoms, but that their core mandate would follow the Charter of Rights and Freedoms, but also the Liberal interpretation of that charter when it comes to issues such as abortion and LGBT rights. And the issue becomes one of freedom of expression, if I can just preface what you want to say about this, because of course when employers want to hire someone, they have to abide by Canadian law. They cannot discriminate against anyone. There's no disagreement about that. But the Liberals went one step further to require that employers hold the same beliefs as the incumbent Liberal government. So tell us from your perspective. That's my perspective as a member of Parliament, but I want to hear it from your perspective. What happened? What was different this year?
Yeah. This year with the attestation requirement, it really kind of threw us for a bit of a spin in that there were some requirements in there that we really felt would require us to go against what would be some core values that our faith has informed us in. And we really believe that, as an organization, we will live out, those values and as instructed by our faith. But at the same time, everybody is welcome here, and so we're a very inclusive community. And yet, with the requirement of the attestation and some of the interpretation around that, we just felt in good conscience we would be going against our faith-informed values. And we really don't believe we can separate our faith from our values, and our values do inform our behavior and our actions as an organization. And so that was our challenge, to really reconcile what was being required and the interpretation when it came to especially abortion rights and so forth. We're not here to judge, but we're here to basically teach and instruct what we believe our faith requires of us. And so we felt that in good conscience we couldn't apply the same way we had in past years.
So when the forms came to you, how did you react to the forms? Did you try to refuse to sign the forms, or what did you do?
Yeah. Well, we're fully committed, as Tony said, to abide by the laws of the land. And the Ontario Human Rights Commission has a code that we strongly uphold and abide by. And so we really felt that we're committed to all those things that are legal requirements of us, and we're happy to do so. But in this case, we felt that it was going beyond that, and there was an interpretation that was given that we couldn't follow. So what we chose to do is we still applied for the summer jobs funding. We checked the attestation, but with a caveat that would clarify our position on some of the things that were maybe even not so much ingrained in the attestation, the specific words of that, but the interpretation on the website that I just found was really, dictating a position on abortion that we really couldn't support. And so although, we're not here to, we would hold to a pro-life view here as informed by our faith, but we just felt we couldn't sign it the way we normally had signed, so we put that caveat in there.
And then what happened next?
Well, basically our funding was denied, and so we felt that we were still qualified to receive the funding, given the caveat that we had put for the attestation, because again we're fully committed to the Charter of Rights and Freedom and all the laws of the land. And so we did do a follow-up letter just describing again how we felt that we had some rights too when it came to our faith and also our freedom of conscience and expression. And so we just we wrote a follow-up letter, but again we haven't received any further communication on that.
So Muskoka Bible Center, which has hired literally hundreds of students over the last few years, no issues, no controversy, a good program for students to become leaders and to help other students. That's been the way it's been done, but this year no funding from the federal government.
Yeah, I mean, this year we're still committed to hiring these students. We need them to support us, but now we have to pursue other funding opportunities, which makes it a little bit more difficult because it takes money away from other things that we'd like to do. But yeah, so this year we're still needing the students, but we have no funding from the government, which does impact our budget and our ability to operate our programs as well as we would like to.
And MBC is not alone. I should say that other faith-based camps in my community who usually got funding did try to get funding this year, either without the attestation form, the values judgment form, or even by holding their nose and signing it. And even in those situations, a lot of my faith-based camps that are located here did not get funding. So this is an issue of real concern about bias in the system. And let me say this, look, we may agree or disagree on LGBTQ or abortion rights. There are rights that are embedded in the Charter of Rights and Freedoms, and whether you agree or disagree, those rights are going to be enforced. But here's where I come from. John, you don't have to comment on this at all, but Justin Trudeau, just this week at New York University, received an honorary degree in Brooklyn, New York. His big message to the students, these millennials graduating, was we have to be tolerant of views that are different from ours. He made a point of saying that he believes that there is something to learn from people who hold different views. Even if you 90% disagree, you should be open and tolerant of those people and listens to their point of view. So that's what he's saying to students, and yet the government that he leads is doing 180 degrees opposite of that by saying if you hold a view that we disagree with, you're not allowed to get government funding. You're a taxpayer, you're a citizen, you're entitled under the Charter of Rights and Freedoms to have freedom of expression in this country, and yet the government of the day is saying if you disagree with us on this or that issue, you're not going to get funding. A terrible precedent, because even if you agree with Justin Trudeau on these issues, maybe there'll be a government someday that you disagree with, who now has the precedent that they can withhold funding because of their interpretation of the Charter of Rights and Freedoms. This is a very, very bad precedent, which is why conservatives across the country are making an issue out of this, and why people in the latest polling of this issue also share a lot of these concerns. So I don't want to put words in your mouth, John, or prompt you, but if you want to have something to say on this, please say it.
But and I think what Justin Trudeau said in that speech is something that we'd all want to abide by, and so we just feel that the consistency across the board in our governments, but also in organizations like ourselves. One of the things that we like to encourage our students to be when they're here is we always tell them we want this to be a safe place to ask the hard questions. And so we definitely, we allow for a diversity of views and opinions and beliefs even in our program, the students that we hire. But there are certain things that we hold dear to based on our faith. And so we believe that we contribute a lot of good to society and to our community here, but also as we reach out into other communities with these students. And so we would like that same consideration of respect and, for our opinions, but also our faith-informed values.
Well, John Friesen of NBC, thank you for being on Facebook Live with myself, Tony Clement, Member of Parliament for Parry Sound Muskoka, to talk about the Summer Jobs Program and the issue of freedom of expression and the values test. And regardless of the impact of these decisions on your camp and other camps, we certainly wish you the best this summer. It's going to be a great summer. We're going to have a lot of kids up here.
Yep.
And a lot of other programs going on.
That's right.
NBC is always busy.
It is.
So
So
thank
we're looking
you.
forward to it, and thanks for coming to visit.
For sure. Thank you.
Absolutely.